What's up, guys? How are you? Welcome back. It's me, Hebot, coming back at you with another video. And I haven't done one in a while, obviously, but I have a reason to. I need to come out of my hibernation. Because once again, the Sony fanboys and the fake Xbox so-called fans that are weak and not really real Xbox fans have come out of the woodworks once again with their stupidities and their freaking hot takes and their retardation. And yes, I don't care if you find that offensive. They are retarded. They got mental issues. Okay? They need to be getting some help. Psychiatric help. Some real medical help. Okay? So let's get right to it. So these guys are trying to say that Sony increasing prices around the world and increasing prices for their services, even though they already had increased prices for their games that are not only next gen only, but that are, cross-platform, like God of War, like Gran Turismo, and like Horizon Zero Dawn, right, the sequel, that it's okay that they're doing it because they don't have competition, or because they're doing it because they care about the consumers. And we even have stupid hot takes saying that it's going to make gamers go out and buy the console even faster. Okay, guys, before I go any further, we're going to do a quick stop, and I'm going to post a pic right here, this area right here, and you're going to tell me how this makes sense. So I'll do a quick stop right now. Okay, I'm back. Did you see what I posted there? How do you say that you can make a price hike or a price increase if just a year ago you confirmed that you're turning profits for all your PS5s being sold? Still waiting. Makes no sense. And yes, it was already during these crucial times and pandemic and dumb increases that dumbass Biden's administration put up and been doing. Yes. It's been through all this crucial time that they said that they had to do a price increase. Listen, they're stupid, and then they're stupid. And I've always told you guys that the PlayStation community, the fan base that's fanatic, the fanaticos, right? The ones que no tienen comprehensión en la cabeza are the dumbest of the dumb. They're the bottom of the barrel. And it's for good reason. People like Saltiest Gaming, Border Rock, people like King Thrash, most definitely King Thrash. He has the dumbest hot takes all the time. And people, like even Mooch, that calls himself a so-called Xbox guy. Sometimes even Kids Move. And obviously the one and of the biggest frauds and oh God, I can't stand how fraud he is. Jazz Gordon, the dumbest of the dumbest, making articles when he's an Xbox fan saying things like, "Oh, Microsoft can't afford to bring up prices because they don't have nothing to compete." Like, are you fucking retarded? First of all, okay, when you're making more money than any other company, yes, you can afford to bring price increases because you're making more money. The same way when you're making more money, yes, you can afford to keep the prices the same and not have to worry about increasing because you're making money. The Xbox has been selling more than PlayStation 5 in other countries. We all know this. It's been beating it in sales, even in countries like Japan. Okay? even in countries like Japan and in Europe, because people are starting to realize and wake up and see the value that you're getting on Xbox, even without big AAA third-party games that are released yet. Even without the finalization of the acquisition of Activision. Okay? People are realizing that. Now, you're going to say, oh, but the increase is not in America. It's in third world countries, whatever. Right? Obviously, because in America, the value of the dollar doesn't lose the value. Yeah, we have inflation, but the value of the dollar doesn't go down. A dollar is still worth a dollar. You see? So when you're paying that $500 and $35 with the taxes on that table when you're purchasing a console, whether it's online, via online, or whether it's on the store physically, okay, you're still not overpaying for the value of that hardware. You're paying $500. Now, when you go to other countries, not only do they got to deal with the importing, not only do they got to deal with the inflation in prices, because in a country like, let's say, China, a console will cost $800 if it costs $500 here. Now they got to get an increase on top of that. And it's because the value of the PS5 has gone down in those countries. Because more people are not buying the PS5 the way they were. Or PlayStation hardware in general, like they did in the PS4 era. One, because the PlayStation 4 was way cheaper. And two, because they're not seeing the value there. How do you think, in your right mind, somebody like Patreo, right? He doesn't, that Sony is getting weaker or acting weaker, meaning not putting more effort into being better because Microsoft is not giving the competition. Are you crazy? How you sound? If Microsoft is giving consumers more options and more value for their buck, even without big exclusive AAA titles this year. Because the key word here is this year. Okay? They still have exclusives that are only on Xbox, like Scorn, Pendament, and yes, Pendament may not be your cup of tea, but it's still an exclusive. There is an audience. Games like High on Life, Warhammer Dark Tides, right? Games like the Scorn, right? These are all Xbox One exclusive. Now the extension game, that dinosaur game, is going to get out of the games preview, and it's a full-fledged game. And they said they're keeping it on Xbox because they had, I guess, good results, right? So you think that a company that has a lower entry point console for consumers, that's only $299, and this year, when holiday comes, during Black Friday, trust me, you and believe, those consoles will drop to $250, and the Series X will drop to $450 or even $400, like they did for the students going back to school in Target. And the fucking Series X flew off the shelf. It sold out when they did that special with the kids going back to school, like college kids. Okay? So, you're not going to tell me that the console that gives you that option, the console that gives you Xbox All Access, which everybody seems to have forgotten that exists, okay? Meaning you could pay for it in 2 years, no interest, at $24 and $37.99 respectively a month for each respective hardware, whether it's the S or the X, which they're also doing deals with other companies, I believe, now that you could buy directly through them, like Verizon or even the cable companies. They're doing the same deal with All Access. Well, you have that option as well. The console that's not making you pay, okay, $70 per game. The console that's making it easy for you as a gamer and a consumer to play more games for less and to be able to actually take the money that you have for games that you may want to own really badly, like let's say Gotham Knights, right? And go out and purchase it because you don't have to worry about buying the Scorn, High on Life, Pendament, Warhammer Dark Tides, and games like that off the hip, because you can play them on Game Pass. And then you have Game Pass, where any newcomer that comes in is only going to pay $1 for the first month, which is also a very attractive thing. And now Call of Duty this year on Xbox Game Pass as well, right? Because if this deal finalizes at the end of this month, which we have only a couple days left, that means Call of Duty will be on Game Pass, and it will have the exclusive content first on Game Pass. And you really think that people are going to go out and pay more money, even in these third world countries, right? Pay an extra $50 on top of paying $80 or $90 for their games, because that's another thing. They're paying even more money. If we're paying $70 here for a PS5 game, they're paying almost $80 and $90, because people that chat have told us all the time that that's what they pay in Europe. Kenny Jago has said this all the time. He says it all the time, how he pays like $90 for a game. Okay? And that's in Canada. Right? You think they're going to go out and buy that console first, now being $50 more, with the game price the way it is, and with no service that provides actual day and date brand new games with exclusives? Are you serious? You dumb tart heads. Are you serious? No, Jez. No, Porterot. No, Trash. Dean Thrash. No. Saltiest Gaming. Yeah, or dumb. And you have a hot take, because you can't admit that Sony is broke. Sony's doing what they're doing because they have to try to make up for the dollar cost and loss that they're having in other countries, because they're not selling as well as they used to, and because the price has gone up for them, and they have no choice. They have to make up for the cost of where they're losing prices and money to gain that back in the areas, but in other areas, by increasing the price of the services, which they announced, by increasing the price of the console, and they're even saying that they're going to increase the price to the games to $75. And those articles and those, information is public record. You look it up on Google, all the articles pop up. It's not something I'm making up. You can look it up and it comes right up. So they're being as anti-consumer as possible, even though it's just they don't have a choice. They're done. Their arrogance and their way of doing business and their business models and their business practices has finally come to a point where it's biting them in the ass, and now they're paying the price. And the people that are there trying to fix it, like Jim Ryan, are the ones that have to make these executive decisions, because that's their position and their job that they have. That's why you're seeing Spider-Man, God of War, and all these other games coming out on Game Pass. Or not Game Pass, but on PC, for example. And now there's even a rumor that a possible big game of theirs is coming Xbox Game Pass, to actual Xbox, which I think we'll find out during the Disney showcase on September the 8th. Because the only game that would logically make sense would be Spider-Man, because they don't own the property. And it's already, been more than 4 years. And it could be a clause and a demand that Disney Marvel Games is telling them to do, like the MLB suggested and told them to do with the MLB game, right? The show, MLB the show, because the MLB license belongs to the MLB, and they do that. They contract with the developers publishing the game or developing the game, the Sony developer, and Sony, publishing the game for them, right? But they still have to answer to the MLB, because they own the license. It's not Sony. Same thing with Spider-Man. They don't own the Spider-Man license. So they have to answer to Marvel Games. And the profit, if it's not there, the margins are not there, because the console sales are not as good as they wanted them to be, or because, let's say, the games are not selling, because the data also came out that people are buying more digital on PlayStation than physical medium. So we can't use that what you call it, that narrative that they sell more, physical games than Xbox, because that even was debunked. Xbox number 2, and they're number 1 of people buying more games digitally, and they're not even their first party exclusive. It's multiplats like Fortnite, when they buy stuff for Fortnite, or like Call of Duty or GTA, things like that. So again, like I've said before, how do you think that makes any logical sense that somebody as a consumer this holiday season will go out and buy a console that not only costs more money, not only is charging more for the services, not only is charging more for their games, it's only giving you a handful of exclusives, even though there'd be AAA. For God of War is the only one that's really coming, right? This holiday season, right? But after that, there's nothing else. When on Xbox, again, you have options like All Access, a cheaper digital entry point console like the Xbox Series S. Also, a console that has the best performances in their games, even in the multiplats, as we're seeing, because the silicone, the developers are learning how to use the silicone and have more options from the silicone in the hardware to utilize and make the games better and perform better on the console. Even the multiplats, right? And it's a console that's going to have third-party exclusives that you can't play on PlayStation, like the Scorn, or like something like Warhammer Dark Tides, or like the Extinction game, or Pendament. Again, like I said, a more robust and diverse library. God of War is so good, and God of War is going to be such a banger, that it's almost a month and a half away of release, and you still haven't seen a brand new footage gameplay of the game since the first one they showed. And that's because that game is really what people said. It was a DLC that they turned into making it into a full-fledged game, like they did with Spider-Man Miles Morales, and like they did with the infamous Light Source, the second one, or Lighthouse, whatever the hell it was called, and like what they did with the Uncharted, with the two girls. I forget the name, Lost Legacy, I think it is, or something like that. Where you play as the two chicks. Those were DLCs turned into single-player games and make it seem like it was a separate game, because that was the only way they could get away with making the console look like it has more exclusives, and a way for them to be able to charge you more money for a game that was really supposed to be an extension to the original release, which is a DLC. And you guys fall for it all the time, just like they're doing the remaster of Last of Us 1, which is the third remaster, or the second time they remastered a game that's already been out since PS3. It's more than 24 years old, or 20 years old, almost 20 years ago. Because the PS3 was, let's see, no, it was at the end of the PS3. So it's been 10 years, well, like 15 years, something like that. So again, the reason why they're doing that and getting away with it and putting that game at a high price point is, again, because they need money. Sony is hemorrhaging money. And that is the reason why they're doing these increases and these shifts and these things that are not like their traditional way of doing business, which people would consider unorthodox for them. Because, once again, if you don't have the money and you're not making the revenue the way you're supposed to, or the way you need to, You have to figure out a way to marginalize and make the cuts and make the changes and the shifts to get areas to make up for the loss of the money that you're losing on this side. So you got to try to figure out to make it up on this side. It's just business. It's what it is. It's just business. It makes 100% sense. It has nothing to do with inflation. It has nothing to do with, because they're the market leaders, so they could do that and get away. Look, bro, we got to stop the goalpost moving. We got to stop the capping. You got to stop the denial. You Sony fanboys and you fake Xbox fans, y'all need to go. Y'all really need to go. You are the problem and the reason why Sony doesn't try to do better and hasn't tried to do better. You're the reason why Sony will always be arrogant and do arrogant things and not really care for you guys as consumers. Because even the AAAs that they're bringing out have just lost their oomph. Because, again, you can only make the same type of games for so long and get away with it. There's going to be a point where it's going to get stagnant, and there's going to be a point where it's going to become, boring. And you're not going to be able to get away with it. You're just not. So again, we got to stop the capping. We got to stop the narrative the narrative changing, the goalpost moving. No, Sony PS5 is not selling as well as it did. First and foremost, once again, as I said before, in these countries, Xbox has. Sony's not giving you an option like an Xbox All Access where you can basically, pay for the console in a layaway plan or form. In fact, when you go to GameStop, the only way you can get a PS5 is by buying it in bundles, because they're forcing you to buy it as a bundle, and the cheapest one is always like $795 or $800. That's what they always do. You can't pay just for the console itself. And then you have the scalper issues. That's still a real thing, because scalpers still know that the PS5 is the most demanded unit out there, because most people think that it's the best console because of all the bullshit during PS4, and they think that that's still there, especially the ones that are not really in the know, right? Like the people that are the casuals, basically. They don't really know. So most of these younger kids are like, oh wait, I need a P5. I need a P5. Yo, where's my P5? Literally, that's how they say it, and they don't realize they're just wasting their money. So again, like I said, the scalpers is still an issue, right? Because that's why they still say, that there's only there's 30 or 25 or 30% of the units that are still not active. That also is still playing a role, okay? My boy Jorge, as much as he likes to deny bullshit, he bought his PS5 through a scalper in Macari. He paid like $800, almost $9, I think, for his console. If it wasn't 900, am I wrong? I'm just trying to give you an idea. I'm not trying to exaggerate. I think it was like about 8, almost 9. Okay, with his dealing, how he did the deal, what he was paying out of pocket, and what he gave up for it. It came out to like 900, almost $800 or $900. So again, there's still people out there trying to get their hands on it through scalpers. When you go through Best Buy, through Total Tech, they give you alerts. Same thing. I went a couple of times. The dude picking it up. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'll sell it to you. If you want it, leave me like 900." Like, really? You just bought it? You saying that right in front of the store? And I'm not saying that people probably don't scalp the Xbox Series X, because yeah, they do that too. But the Xbox Series X is more easy to get on your hands, because again, Microsoft is not forcing you to move out and buy it flat out. You can do it through the Xbox All Access program. And even GameStop doesn't do it in bundles. They sell just the console. Okay? Because they know that the demand is higher for PS5 and they try to make money or extra money off of these consumers that don't know any better. You get what I'm saying? So, like I was saying, we got to stop the cap. Enough's enough. Okay? Salty is gaming, kids, all that. Just like they were changing the narrative and changing the words that Phil said about exclusives not that they don't really care that's not what he said. He said the value of exclusives, which is true, is no longer there the way it used to be, because now more people are worried about other things, and multi-plats are the ones making the most money, which is a fact. GTA, Minecraft, Fortnite, Apex, even at one point, PUBG, Warframe. Those are the games making the top dollars right now, or the most dollars. They're all multiplats. It's not exclusives. And when exclusives are given out in bundles or go down in price after the initial release, that's not profit. Yeah, it's a physical copy that you got in your hand and that's out there, but it's not in a profit. They're not making profit out of it. Once that initial release goes and they drop down the price from the initial release, it's no longer making any revenue for them. They're just trying to get copies out there as fast as possible, as many as they can, so that they can get awareness for the game. And it's basically like a tactic of doing with like Game Pass, but you're still paying more money. Where you're getting people to play games because the games are cheaper, so they'll go out and buy it, get interest on it, so when the sequel comes out, they'll go and buy it day one. That's kind of the mindset behind that. But since they have to share, and there's a third person involved when you're doing physical releases and physical, sales, people think they make more money out of physical sales, and they don't, because there's always a third man in there, in the middle. You have to pay, the import fees. You have to pay the distribution fees. You have to pay the fees in stores when you want to make, to have shelf space. You have to pay for, storage space. There's a bunch of fees that come with that. And pay the publisher, pay the developer, Only if it's a first-party exclusive, they'll make more money, but it's not as much as they do when they sell digitally. Because digitally is directly to them. All that money goes to the developer. So if it's a first-party exclusive, the whole shebang goes to the publisher and the developer. This is why they make so much money digitally and why they push it. Because it makes the industry, the game developers, and the publishers more money. And it's not because they're trying to take your fucking rights. Because there's another thing. They just want to take your rights. No. It's because that makes them more money. When you sell a game physical, they're basically getting nothing out of it. Unless it sells really well the first day, they don't make nothing out of it. And yes, you can bring up Elden Ring sold 22 or 12 million units. It made buku money. Yeah, because From Software doesn't spend a lot of money making those fucking games. They use the same fucking engine that's broken, that runs at 13 frames per second in a lot of cases, that's got mad hiccups, and you motherfuckers think that it's because it's part of the game and not because the game engine is garbage, and they don't spend a lot to make those games. You may think they do, but they don't, because the engine's old. You can tell by the graphics that although it looks cool and it looks good because of the art style, it's not because it's using these big sophisticated techniques and engines that are more sophisticated graphically, that you can do things to make it look more lifelike and more realistic. For Christ's sakes, you can't even climb up a wall. You can't jump in water. Like, get out of here with that stupid shit. They spend maybe, I would say, 50 million to make something like Elden Ring. Maybe, if that, maybe 35. So of course they made profit if they sold 12, 13, 15 million. But if a game like Xbox, like Halo, that cost 500 million, or a game like God of War that might have cost 200 million or 250 million to make, if they don't sell right off the hip, they're not making no profit the way that they would if it was cheaper. That's why digitally, that's where they make the most money. That's why they push it. It's not to take your rights away, like a lot of these dummies that I'm talking about also like to push. No. 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 Oh, because they made $400 million. I saw Alex do a video breaking down shit with talking about King Thrash, but he also said something stupid. Because he told if they made $400 million and they only pay $100 million, they're making 4 times the amount. Yeah, but that's because they have to. You're not taking into account that they have to split that. If they sold more physical, they have to split that with all types of other people, and they barely get a return. Okay? They don't get a return like that unless it's digital and it's a first-party exclusive. If it's a third-party deal or a multi-plat, they barely make any money off of that. Anyway, like I said, there's no way that Sony PS5 is going to outsell the Xbox Series X in people's hands, even with them having only third-party exclusive. And another thing is, before I go, all you guys forget that last year, the PS5 only had third-party exclusive, which was Deathloop. It was Deathloop, Kena. I think it was the Final Fantasy. No, I think that came out before. And Tokyo Drift or Tokyo Deathwire, whatever. The ones that are made by Bethesda and their team, Tequila Works, I think it was, and that they're supposed to come on Xbox now. Deathloop now also is coming out on Game Pass. I think sometime in October or something like that. Same thing, like, you could play Plague Tales Requiem day one on Game Pass. You don't gotta go buy it if you don't have the money. Day one on freaking PS5, and it's gonna be the inferior version on top of that. And you guys didn't talk and say nothing last year when they only had third-party exclusives. And because this year they had third-party and Microsoft didn't have, that they only really relied on Game Pass exclusivities and launches, and also now third-party deals, that it makes it any different, or that's because they don't care. Like, what? Make it make sense. You guys don't make it make sense. You want to always change the narrative, but when Sony does the same stupid shit, or is they're in the same situation, you guys try to act like, oh no, they're good. No. Last year, they only had was third party when Microsoft had 4 exclusives, which was the Gunk, Crossfire X, Halo, Forza, the Ascent, even though, it went to the PS5, but it was still exclusive at the time. And a bunch of other shit. So please stop. Anyway, guys, I'm out of here. Let me know what you think. Thumbs up if you like. Thumbs down if you didn't. Let me know in the comments. It's all for good conversation. These dummies, they're not gonna stop. It just proves and cement further what I've been saying. E-Rock and all of us, like Sega Forever and Unlimited and 100 and all these guys been saying for years. We've been saying it for years. And please go check out their videos. They have videos up that were really good. That they're not going to stop. They're so corporately, mentally brainwashed like a cult that all they think is that it's okay. They accept everything. Like they're getting smacked in the face or getting cheated on by their wives and say it's okay, or getting robbed by not getting paid enough on their job and they're getting robbed by their employees. That's how they act. They act like it's a cult, like it's okay, it's all right. Anyway, guys, you know how you find me. It's all down in the description below. Love you guys. I'll see you in the next one, and hopefully it'll be for some more good conversation. Peace.